This is EliGE.
Everything to play for, everything to be gained. The blast, the swing, he's got it. The first is his. Oh, he's done it! The star stands up on home soil.
For over a decade, he's been one of the best North American riflers in Counter-Strike and one of the best multi-fraggers in the scene. And whilst most pros rely on vibes and flow state, EliGE approaches his training with data and scientific analysis. EliGE is also one of the only CS2 pros who uses and even advocates for aim trainers like Aim Labs and Kovacs consistently as part of their routine. After my journey through Nico and Donk's routines, I realized that maintaining my new status as a star player requires more than just aggression. It's going to require some data-driven analysis. So, for the next 7 days, I'm following EliGE's precise data-driven routine. No excuses, no shortcuts, just the most calculated grind of my life. And for this challenge, I'm going to follow these golden rules. Rule number 1. Every day starts with one of the 2 Aim Lab routines created by his aim coach, so we don't touch CS2 until the lab work is done. Rule number 2. EliGE is a god at multi-kill spray transfers. So this week, it's no more spray and pray, it's quality over panic. And rule number 3. No shortcuts. This is the longest routine I've ever attempted. The urge to skip the boring parts will be high, but to properly test his routine and hit my goals for 2026, I have to finish every single rep. So for day 1 of EliGE's routine, there's something I need to be honest with you from the get-go. This isn't EliGE's warm-up routine. This is EliGE's daily training routine. So for warm-up, he would just jump into aimbots, then into the blitz refrag mode. But here's what EliGE does every day for his training, and what I will be doing for the next 7 days. It starts with 30 to 40 minutes of aim labs, so he has 2 structured playlists created by his aim coach, Matty OW from Voltaic, and I'm going to switch between 1 and 2 on odd and even days. He then moves on to aimbots, so that's 1,000 aimbots kills, which is just a lot. So he does 250 static taps, then 250 strafe bursts, 250 strafe taps, and then 250 spray transfers. Then after all that, he then dives into 30 minutes of refrag scenarios. So aimbots, angle trainer, X-fire, spray transfer. And when I did this routine, it took me an average of an hour and a half to complete. By the end of day 1, I was completely drained. So it is to note that this isn't something you do and then just immediately jump into pugs. This is a training session, not a warm-up. So I had to take a break before my evening practice with my team. And during that practice, I still got some clean clips for the night. So maybe there is something to this. Training in the day, playing in the evening. I just need to quickly talk about something that isn't aim related, which brings us on to today's sponsor, FlexiSpot. While I've been on my CS grind to try and go pro, I've noticed that if my setup isn't helping me, it's hindering me. And FlexiSpot were kind enough to help me upgrade my setup with the C7. The headrest adjusts in 3 dimensions, so your neck is supported during those long sessions. The lumbar support doesn't just support your lower back, it also supports your sacrum and your lumbar at the same time, which is more ergonomic. The armrests are 5D adjustable, which means that you can change the height, the rotation, the depth, whatever position you need to optimize your aim and your gain. And the seat cushion supports those long 12-hour sessions. Longer than I would recommend, but when you've got a grind, it holds up. I've used this chair for a couple of days now, and the difference is unreal. Less back fatigue, better posture, and I'm not constantly shifting trying to get comfortable. And FlexiSpot also offer other options, such as the cheaper C5 model or the upgraded C7 Morpher model. FlexiSpot is offering $50 off with the code C750, a 30-day risk-free trial, and 10-year warranty. So I'll put the link in the description if you want your chair to keep up with you. Now, back to the video. Day 2 was another long slog. I got onto the second Aim Labs routine to mix things up, and this took roughly 2 hours to complete. But to note, I was talking to chat a lot. And as we get on later in the video, the routine is shorter when you're not distracted. The change up in the Aim Labs routine was actually really fun. It was engaging and it kept it varied throughout the week. And then you dive into the aimbots 1,000 kills and it feels way longer than it should. But I reminded myself that EliGE uses this 1000 aimbots kills because in LAN, he doesn't have access to anything else. It's the best warm-up option in that environment, not necessarily the best overall. And then finishing with Refrag felt really great. It was really nice. Angle Trainer and Xfire are really solid. But I will say to finish off, the spray transfer scenario, which is called Spray Legend, is brutal. No one should be spraying at these distances. It's not realistic at all for in-game scenarios. But I'm trusting the process. Once I finished the training routine, I dived into a Face It with some of my viewers and we got the win. And I got some big rounds on Anubis. Then later on in the evening, I played 2 pugs with my teammates. The first one was an absolutely horrendous loss on Ancient, but the second one against the same people, I laid down the law. Incredible performance from me, I can't lie. I absolutely dominated as the new A rifler. So even after 2 days of very long training, I'm still showing up on the server in the evening. By day 3, I was getting quite frustrated and not that keen to dive on the server. These training sessions were super long, and I was starting to feel the pain of these, whether that was in my shoulder, my back, or just the general urge just to play the game. But I sat myself down and reminded myself of something important. This is an aim training routine. This is not the warm-up. I am doing my training throughout my streams. And it's not something that needs to be done quickly, and definitely not something I should dive straight into pugs afterwards. And this got confirmed when I talked to our resident aim coach, Rosie, aka Scion. She watched my aim lab sessions and called me out immediately. I was using the aim lab sections to chase high scores and speedrun scenarios. I wasn't following the core principle behind most aim and most mechanics. Slow is smooth and smooth is fast. I was correcting my flicks before I'd even finished them, and it was making my aim extremely inefficient, jumpy, and I was not trusting my initial mouse movement. So we took a reset, we slowed it down, and we focused on control, not on speed. And then after that, I jumped into a premiere match with some viewers, and I was toast. I wasn't spraying with conviction, I was panic spraying, a lot of spray and pray. I wasn't playing with confidence and playing blindly because I was exhausted. And so I jumped off my PC before the official that evening. And before my official, I did the EliGE actual warm-up. I dived into the Refrag Blitz scenarios and did that for 20 minutes. And then I was insane in the official. We 13-1'd the other team, and it was an absolute barn burner. We dominated, everything was clicking, and I was hitting. But then we made a mistake. We decided to celebrate with a pug, and it wasn't a good idea. I was completely shot from the day, and we were all a little out of whack. But with that 13-1 win, it was fun nonetheless. And so from day 3, I took my thoughts around how training and warm-up are 2 totally different things, and the fact that training builds the habits and warm-up activates them. Got on to day 4, and the training still felt really long. And it was the midway hump, and it felt like a real strain. And I was really tempted to skip the day. But I remembered my rules, no shortcuts. So I fell back on my discipline, and if you're not motivated and you're tired, you've still got to get it done. So I didn't skip, I finished the session, but was it my best performance? No, it wasn't. But that wasn't the point. Day 4 was about showing up, and I did that. I applied all the methods we talked about, even when I was tired. Something that was also noted during that session was that my micro tracking looked really jumpy. And I discussed this with my chat and we tried to think about how it could be. Was it that I was pushing down too hard on my mouse, causing some friction, or was I over tensing my forearm? And to be honest, after the reflection, it's my wrist movement for me. It's not smooth in its micro adjustments. So I either need to work on my fingertip control for those movements, or I need to find a way of loosening my wrist. Because again, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. And on day 5, there was no chat, no pauses, just me in the routine. So I jumped on and got the session done. This obviously meant that the aim labs felt quicker, felt better without the pauses to talk to chat. And so it definitely felt that doing training sessions with chat just slows the process down and makes those sessions harder. And it changed a 2-hour training session to an hour and 15 minutes. I also continued to get some personal bests in aim labs, but more importantly, I'm starting to feel more confident in my first 10 bullets of my spray. But one thing I did test was to find out if I found bullet traces actually useful for me in my sprays. And For me, they work. I don't know if they're fully accurate, but one thing I found really useful with the tracers is when I was transferring between enemies, I knew where in the spray pattern my aim was. Without them, I was getting lost in that midsection. And when you're doing the spray legend, that's really important when you have to hit a little head on a little bit of ledge from miles away. So this was a small setting for me, but made a huge difference in my games. On day 6, aim labs felt a lot better. I had 3 new personal bests, but the general feeling of control and confidence in my aim felt a lot better. But here's what I'm realizing. There's still areas of struggle in my aim. Long-term habits that won't change overnight and won't change over 7 days. But these 7 days have helped me identify them. This routine is a slow burner. It's not going to be an overnight success, but the returns you'll see are coming months down the line. And that could be a great thing. But with delayed gratification, that takes time. And you need to be able to wait for it. The 1,000 aimbots kills is still a massive drag. I'm definitely getting more comfortable with it. The problem I have though is starting slow in each section, like I'm supposed to. I just dive quickly into the speed because I want to get the session over with. But if I slow down at the beginning, by the end, I'm much better. So I need to keep reminding myself that. But saying that, at the end of the aimbot session, I had a go at the 100 aimbots challenge. And I got my new PB of 45 seconds. And if you know what the actual PB is, please let me know in the comments, because maybe I'll give that a shot one day. From day 6, there is something that came up that is an issue. I'm not kill confirming. And it's a major flaw in my aim. So my explanation of kill confirm is you are shooting a target until it dies. You have confirmed that the enemy has been killed. I release too early in certain situations, and I don't get that kill before I move on to the next target, whether that's aim labs or in CS, because this does directly translate in game. Because how many times have you done 99 and 4 to an enemy before transferring to the second guy? I do it way too much, and that means I guarantee no kills rather than at least one. And that is an issue. So get used to that, confirming the kill, then transferring. And day 7, this is decision time. This is what it's all built up to. I spent the last 6 days grinding the full EliGE training routine. But today I mixed it up and just went with the warm-up and then dived into some Premier pugs with my viewers. And so for the warm-up, it's just 20 minutes of Refrag Blitz. But quickly before that, I just did 100 kills on aimbots just to get my arm warm. Oh, and if you didn't notice, I decided to go with the bald buff. If I'm going to commit to the EliGE method, you're going to commit fully. So after the warm-up, I jumped into the 3 Premier pugs with the viewers, and we needed to find out if this training routine actually translated. And it ended with back-to-back-to-back wins. First game was super clean on Ancient. The second game on Mirage, a little ropey at the beginning, but we got there in the end. And the third game, well, we were absolutely dominating, and then my internet died towards the end of the match. But the lead was so big, the team won without me. So the bald buff held strong, but my internet did not. At the end of that week, here's what really mattered. I felt good on the server. My pistols were sharp. My spray had some control, and I got my Season 4 Premier ranking of top of the pinks. And that's not a bad place to start. So after the 7 days, 10 plus hours of training and a questionable haircut at the end, was it all worth it? The short answer for me is yes. But the long answer is I would change how it was run. So I learned a ton about my aim, my limits, and what actually improves me. But let's break it down by each component so I can break down how each of them help or don't. The question I got a lot during my streams was, do aim trainers make you better at CS? And no, they don't. Not directly. The reason that people use them is because they train mouse control, a mechanic of your aim. And mouse control is just one piece of the giant mechanics that come with CS. So during this week, I found a number of issues with the mechanics of my aim or my mouse control, correcting my flicks before they were even finished, making some inefficiencies, micro tracking with jumpy wrist movements that I can work on. I wasn't confirming my kills before I switched targets, and I was switching to newly appearing targets rather than going with targets that already existed. So I was creating indecision and then indecision led to some inefficiency. But not all these situations and scenarios and issues show up in game, but they are limiting my ceiling and maybe limiting yours. Aim Labs highlighted these, and that is valuable. But aim training should be supplementary and not the focus of your practice, especially not the focus of your warm-up. Oh, and one more thing that was highlighted to me for like Aim Labs or Kovacs, and this is based with the click scenarios, so static clicking, things like that. You want to aim for a 90 to 95% accuracy. If you're too high on the accuracy, speed up. If you're too low, slow down. And that is how you build the sweet spot for speed and precision. Aimbots, 1,000 kills every day for 7 days, it's a lot. It could be a great warm-up for your hands, your arms, your shoulders, and your general mouse control. It gets the connection between your mouse and your keyboard going, and it gets you in the game of CS. But it's not a real warm-up for matches like Aim Rush, for example. A lot of pros use aimbots and a lot of players use aimbots because it's all that is available at LAN. They don't have other workshop maps. They don't have things like Refrag. So aimbots, or I believe CS stats, are the only ones they have access to. So they use it as part of their warm-up to get that consistency. It's the best they get in their situation, but you have other options, so use them. And Refrag. Well, obviously the full transparency is EliGE owns Refrag, or one of the co-owners. So we've got to take that into context. I'm currently not sponsored or partnered with them yet. Refrag, hit me up. But it is great, like genuinely great. The scenarios, the variation, the way it simulates real maps, real angles, and real situations outside of the spray transfer. It's genuinely a solid warm-up tool. But are there alternatives? Yes, there are. There's workshop maps. There's pre-fire maps, peak trainers. The thing that Refrag gives you is convenience and structure in one place. You're basically paying for that, the variation that comes with it, but there's also things like stats, coaching, and other pieces that could be really useful. But that doesn't mean it's necessary. If you're serious about your grind and you want to streamline your warm-up, it's really worth considering. But it's not essential, and you can reach level 10 and above without it. But if you do want to try it out yourself, and you're lucky enough to be able to get to the comments quickly, I'm going to put some trial codes there for you to test it out for yourself. The one thing I will say about Refrag, the spray legend, in my opinion, is way out of whack. It is extremely unrealistic for what you should be doing in matches, and you should probably not be training that. So for me, I was training that towards the end of my session, and then I was spraying way too much in my matches. The distances are unrealistic, and in that situation, you'd be tapping, not continuing your spray. So again, would I continue as I am? No, not like I'm doing it. I'm not doing a full 90 to 2 hour routine every day. I don't have the time for that, especially if I'm lucky enough to get a job again. But it is training. It's deliberate practice, and it's long-term habit building. But for day-to-day, no. I'd probably do it 1 to 2 times a week. But from this, is there anything I've learned that I would do day-to-day? Well, I do think Refrag Blitz is a great way to warm up. It is basically Aim Rush, but on the CS2 maps. So it is super useful. Using Aim Labs, whether it's with the Voltaic benchmarks or using Kovacs, to help identify key parts of my aim that I'm lacking in. Do these benchmarks maybe once a month, maybe once a quarter, and then select specific scenarios to target them once a week, maybe twice. And aimbots, well, I'd bring it straight back down to 100, maybe 200 kills, just to get the hands warm and not use it as a warm-up. I think I need to follow the principle of training with intention, warming up with efficiency. And knowing the difference between those will put you in great stead for improving at the game. But one thing I want to iterate about training and warming up is that it's all personal preference. I'm trying to find something that works for me, and during that I want to show you what people are doing and why I think it works and why I think it doesn't work. I'm trying to build multiple routines that I can switch between when I get bored of one or the other. And so what's next? I've done Nikos, I've done donks, I've just done EliGEs, and I'm seeing results from all of them. And I'm taking ideas and changing bits as I go. So if you have any ideas, drop them in the comments below. And if we get to 10,000 subscribers, we're running the Blame F routine. And if you know, you know. Right, if you've made it this far, please make sure you subscribe, like the video, and remember, it's not about copying the pros, it's about finding what works for you. I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Peace.